Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I have this tutorial for you today, and I took to Instagram and I had you guys vote on which look you wanted to see, and a lot of you chose this look that I had posted. I did a mini Instagram tutorial on this eye look only, but a lot of you wanted a full-length YouTube tutorial, so here it is. I hope you guys like this look. Let me know what you think of it down below in the comments. And as you guys know, I'm always open to suggestions, so feel free to leave yours down below if you have a request on a specific type of look. I have a whole bunch of videos that I'm trying to get through. I have a list of ideas and of videos that I've said I was gonna put out and I'm going to put out. But I'm just trying to get back into the routine of my filming schedule and everything. So if you guys want to see how I was able to achieve this look and you want to learn how to do it for yourself, then keep on watching. To start this look, I'm going to be using some Scotch tape. Actually, it's not Scotch tape. This is like dollar store tape, which I actually think works better because it's not as sticky and it doesn't pull so much on your skin, but it still stays put for your makeup application. Anyway, so I'm just lining up on the bottom part of my lash line. I'm going to be priming my eyelids using my MAC Paint Pot in Soft Ochre, as always. I don't know when the day will come when I use something different. This is just my go-to eye primer. I'm then going to be going in the crease. This is an Anastasia Beverly Hills single eyeshadow. This is Orange Soda, and I'm taking this on a Luxie blending brush and just blending this into my crease, and I'm actually bringing it a little bit further into my inner corner. I've been really loving to do this lately because I feel like it just makes my eyes look a little bit more deep set, and I don't have much of a crease, although I wish I did, and this kind of helps mimic that look a bit. I'm just going in small circular motions and then back and forth to help blend this out. I'm then going to be taking the Anastasia color in caramel, whichever way you like to say it, on the same brush and just going over and just kind of starting to deepen up the crease even more. I wanted the crease to be super warm because I like the way it paired with the color we're going to put on our lid. I want it to be very orangey, very terracotta. I'm then taking Morocco from the Anastasia palette. I believe it was the Shadow Couture palette. I ended up depotting all of my ABH eyeshadow palettes because honestly, ABH shadows are one of my favorites, and I decided to just keep them all in one place instead of just having all of these palettes laying around. I'm taking this on another blending brush, a clean one that has more of a dome shape, and then just placing that in the crease before going back to the original blending brush to just make sure everything is melting together. I'm then taking Bobbi Brown's Camel, which is one of my favorite eyeshadows of all time, on a smaller Luxie blending brush and just working this more so on the outer V of the eye and then pushing it inwards towards my crease. This is more of a transition shade for this next color. I believe this is Fudge from one of the Anastasia shadows. This is all Anastasia shadows, by the way, except for Camel and the one we're going to put on our lids. But I'm placing this on the outer V as well and just starting to really deepen it up before going in with Noir. And I'm using the same brush for all of these shadows on the outer V. And this is my favorite black matte shadow of all time because it is so pigmented. It is not patchy whatsoever. And it just really gets as deep as possible. Some black shadows you have to keep layering and layering. For the beginning part of the lid, I'm mixing both my MAC Paint Pot and a little bit of this NYX white eyeshadow base because I wanted the brightness of the white, but I love the staying power of the MAC Paint Pot. So I'm mixing it just to get that desired color and consistency. And using a concealer brush, I'm just going to be cleaning up the very beginning of our eyelid, because the color we're going to place on top, as you can see from my other eye, is super bright, and having a nice white base really just helps make that color pop and so much more vibrant than on its own. I'm using Expensive from the Jeffree Star Beauty Killer palette on a flat shader brush, and I'm just going to be starting to fill this in. As you can see, I let the primer kind of fade off into the outer V, just ever so slightly with my brush, sliding the product to where it does this gradual fade. That way the eyeshadow will do the same thing. I'm then going in with Anastasia's Mermaid, and I'm going to be placing this more so on the outer part of the eyelid where the outer V is meeting that turquoise color. Since it's a little bit deeper in color, it just gives this perfect blend.
I'm then taking a pencil brush and a little bit more fudge and just going along that line where the crease meets the turquoise because I didn't want it to be super sharp. You can leave it like that if you want to. A lot of eye looks are being done like that where it has a really sharp cut of the lid, but I didn't want this one to be like that. I wanted it to be more diffused and blended. I'm then removing the tape. I'm going to be doing, I didn't want to do an extreme wing initially for this look, but it ended up happening that way. You guys can do your wing as dramatic or as not dramatic as you want it to be, but I ended up doing a pretty thick cat eye wing with my Tarte Tarteist liner. This is by far one of the best eyeliners I have ever used. I love how easy and manageable it is, but it stays on so well and it doesn't run. I'm then going to be priming my face with the Benefit Professional. This is one of my favorite primers because it really just smooths you can even see right now with no makeup on, look how well it's smoothing out my skin just on its own. For foundation, I'm using my Frankie Rose Matte Foundation in the shade Angel. This one's a little bit too deep for my skin tone, like just ever so slightly, but it works out once I do highlighting with my concealer. I'm applying this with a damp beauty blender. This is a really good foundation for you guys if you are oily, but you don't want something that's super matte. It does control your oil, but it doesn't dehydrate your skin. For concealer and highlighting, I'm using my Maybelline Fit Me concealer in Fair. This is by far one of my most favorite, if that makes sense. I think I'm saying that wrong, but it's my favorite drugstore concealer of all time. It is so comparable to the NARS creamy concealer. This one is just as good. In fact, I like it better because it actually stays matte longer on me. And I'm blending that out with the same beauty blender. For highlighting and contouring, actually mainly just for contouring because I just highlighted with the concealer. For contouring, I'm using my Anastasia Cream Contour Kit, and I'm taking the middle contour shade and just placing this on the top of my forehead. I really love to contour my forehead. I know I don't have a super broad forehead, but it's a lot more broad than what I guess I would like for it to look like. So I do a lot of contouring, but with a very cool color, so it doesn't look very orange. I'm then going to be placing the deepest contour shade on the hollows of my cheek and also contouring my nose with that shade as well. I also put a little bit on the tip of my chin because I feel like the tip of my chin is pretty pointy and this kind of just lessens that look. I like to have my face shape a little bit more square than long. I'm using my Sephora 56 Flawless Airbrush Foundation Brush, and I'm just going in circular motions buffing this out. I started to use brushes that have much more of like a loose bristle feel as opposed to the e.l.f. stippling brush that I usually use, and I really love the way this blends out the product. If your product is really stiff, I wouldn't suggest to use this. I would definitely stick with the e.l.f. stippling brush, something that's more stiff and gives you more control. But this brush does so well with these cream products on me. I feel like they're very blendable, so it just works out. I'm going to be setting and baking with my KatEyed Airspun powder, and I am just going to be using my beauty blender to apply this onto the highlighted areas and also right underneath my contour because I like the way it just sharpens everything up, and I like to have my contour more on the sharp side than just on the loose side. Once we're done baking, I did my brows during this process. I decided not to include it in this tutorial because I do have a full brow tutorial up on my channel and I did show a little bit in my last tutorial. I'm just blending away that excess powder and then using my NYX Highlight and Contour Kit to just set all the highlighted areas with the cream shade in that kit. It's the more yellow tone shade on a Luxie. I need to find out the name of this brush. Hold on. Okay, the brush I used to set my highlighted areas was the Luxie 660. I love it because it's really flat and just packs on the powder perfectly. For bronzing up the face, I'm using my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer and a Sonia Kashuk Large Stippling Brush. The texture of this bronzer is very unique, so this brush works perfectly with its very light, creamy texture, although it's still a powder, if that makes sense. I'm then using a small dome-shaped brush to just deepen up my contour even more with the Sculpt powder from the NYX Contour Kit, and then a Morphe MB30 brush to just sharpen up my nose contour. These flat brushes are the best for nose contouring, mark my words. I like it. I don't know. I'm then going to be using another Luxie stippling brush. This one has a little bit more of a flare to it to apply my blush. I'm using Coralista from Benefit Cosmetics. It has a little bit of a shine to it and it just kind of does like a little baby highlight, but to add more glow, I'm going to be placing Ofra's Cosmetics You Do You. And I'm applying this to my Cupid's bow, the tip of my nose, bridge of my nose, and also onto the high points of my cheeks. So the combination of this like champagne color highlighter and then the coral blush just really complement each other super well, and the eye look also. I'm then using some colored brow gel to just set my brows. And then moving on to the lips, I'm using the LA Girl Cosmetics matte liquid lipstick. I think the real name of this is called the Flat Pigment Gloss, but that just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm using it in the color Floor before just highlighting the center of my lips with Spotlight from the Amrezy collection with Lipland Cosmetics, and then using a small dome fluffy brush to just kind of blend this out to create this ombre lip. For the eyes, to finish them off, I am using the Frankie Rose eyeliner. It's just a black pencil liner. And then with all the colors we used in our crease, I'm just going to be buffing this out and blending it out for a much smokier look, and really focusing the more orangey tone shades to closer to the lash line before tightlining with Noir, really close to the root of our lashes. I'm then going to be highlighting our brow bone with Treasure, another ABH shadow from one of her palettes, and also the inner corner before setting with some setting spray. I'm using a Maybelline one just because it was on hand. And this is the completed look. I didn't put on any falsies because I have eyelash extensions on in this video, but you can totally add some if you want to. I love this for summer. I think it's so wearable even like into the fall. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.